As her mother, I wanted to kill her. But as her manager, etc., etc. We've heard it from Chris, we've heard it from Wild. In different forms, any publicity is desired. Be it selling a product from your store or irretrievable piece of your soul. Channel momentum at utmost advantage. Don't trouble yourself with petty semantics. Whatever the occasion, there's always a means, turning one person's nightmare into another's dreams. So how do you persist at the wooden wheel, spinning straw into gold, fortune from ordeal? This rare gift differentiates leader from herd, segregating mediocre from utterly superb. They must have true grit, they must have moxie. They must commandeer the public's eye by proxy. And headlines rarely refer to them by name. It's their perspective that takes center stage. They need not waste time with introductions. Their identities are whispered at the functions. If they're good, you'll assume they're deaf, blind, or mute. One is never quite sure what they're paying attention to. But like sharks, they don't stop, even when they sleep. Shift from bulldozer to subtle beep. So what keeps them going, these formidable tycoons whose achievements outshine their shiniest of shoes? Is it intelligence repelling the allure of fame? Is it other halves keeping their heads in the game? Is it having a Jekyll Hyde alter ego to feed, like an Iron Fist chairman with a farm made of cheese? No one is free from opponents or fear. What makes this man feel pain most severe? He's run out of rivals to defeat, except one entity yet to be kept in check. They meet face to face, toe to toe each day. From morning to night, his reflection maintains. How will you surpass, leap higher, gain stealth over the benchmark that is yourself? Thank you.
And on that note, we start with, what do you think of the concept of using controversy to gain publicity, to boost business or brands?
Hello, everybody. I'm very pleased to be, very pleased to be here. It's a privilege. And it's a privilege that I really feel deep in my heart. The first time I was here was in 1979. So it's also a celebration. And when I see Dubai today, and when I remember how Dubai was in '79, my goodness, what a change. What a change. But what has not changed is the sense of hospitality of the Dubai people. It's their kindness, and it's their generosity. That has not changed. And that is important. You can change, but you should never change your ethics and your moral behavior, because those are the values. And what is these values, moral and ethics? That's love. Because to behave with honesty, that's an act of love. To behave with ethics, that's an act of love. To forgive mistakes, that's an act of love. To share, that's an act of love. To forgive, that's an act of love. And what is love? If you are religious, you might say, love is God. And I have no problem. I believe in every God, as long as God is love. And what is God? God is eternal. But you just said, Mr. Beaver, that God is love. And God is eternal. So love is eternal. And that is what I have seen here. This attitude, this moral behavior, this generosity, this hospitality of Dubai, and especially of the Siddiqui family, this is still there. And that's the biggest value of Sediki, and that's the value of the Middle East. The Middle East is an incredible country. It's the country, when I come to the sorry, huh? I will ask,
This is exactly the kind
answer
of
your question
conversation
in a few
we're gonna
minutes. But I cannot resist to say what I say, because I have to say it. It's in my heart. Each time I come to the Middle East, I feel the smell. The smell is different from the smell of my mountains. There is a special smell. The air is different. The air is thicker. The light is different. And that, as soon as I come here, wow. And the first thing I do, I drink Arabic coffee. And I don't forget that when I do this, means I don't want any more. And the second thing I do, I eat a date. And if you eat every day 2 dates, you will never have a health problem. So the Middle East can teach us so much. And now he's teaching us how to do a fair. God damn. They are teaching us how a fair should be and what should be the atmosphere of a fair. And when I see all my colleagues, all my friends from the watch industry, and I have all my friends are from the watch industry, by the way, except one who is a doctor, but which you can always need, you never know. But all my friends that are here, and all the people I have met, they smile with the eyes. If you smile with the lips, that everybody can do. But smiling with the eyes, that's important. Because when the eyes are smiling, means the soul is smiling. And bravo, Sediki family, you have achieved it to make us smile. And I wish every fair would be full of these smiles. What was the question?
I think I have to rephrase it now. It was really talking about, keeping up with the infamy leverage, the concept of using controversy
Yes,
for
okay.
publicity reasons. I mean, and it's interesting that you're talking about morals and ethics, because, that really contradicts the fact that you might use unethical or controversial topics for publicity gain.
Controversial topics that are not honest have to be blamed and have to be banned. But you can be contrarian without being dishonest. You can be different without being dishonest. You can be first without being dishonest. And you can be unique without being dishonest. And I wish to everybody to be first, different, unique, because that is how we should be treated. Everyone should be treated as if he would be first, different, unique, which means everybody should be treated like a king. Now, controversy, if it's positive, is good, because communication is good. And whatever is communicated about a brand, if it's positive, of course, it's a good communication. And the controversy communication remains. You get attention. If you have a simple information, people will forget. So we must bring people to develop a communication policy that is based on something that is not only real, but something that is interesting. I have developed with my team in 1993 what we have called the event marketing. We were doing events in order to get attention and in order to get coverage. One event, when we were in golf with Omega, we went to Washington Square, on the arch of Washington Square. We put grass, a green on the road. The road was closed. And we asked Ernie Els and Bernhard Langer, 2 golf players, to shoot from the top of the arch, 100 meter high, boop, on the green with a red flag. And whatever hole-in-one they would do, we would donate 1 million to a charity. And each player had 3 trials. What do you think? CNN came. Everybody came to see that. We had the biggest coverage. And thanks God, nobody put it all in one.
So it was
No.
cost-effective marketing then.
Now, we had, we said, if nobody reaches, we will still give 200,000 for each shot. So there was enough money for the donation. But you see, these are typical event marketing. We do an event that is a little bit ridiculous because a golf player doesn't play from an arch. You don't close the Fifth Avenue, and you don't bring a green on Fifth Avenue. But it has attracted. So you need really to attract, and today more than ever, because there's so much communication everywhere, that if you have no disruption, people will not, I like the terminology, disruptive communication. Disruptive communication, not a PR communication.
Do you think there's a lot of recycling of content going on? And I think, I mean, we haven't really reinvented anything for a long time. We're talking about using the concept of whatever exists and recycling that content. So there is this attitude today that everyone is going out there and doing marketing and everyone's doing communication. But essentially, what are we marketing and what are we communicating? Because the content hasn't really changed. No one came up with a new strategy to say, this is what we're going to go out there and market today. It's existing strategies and existing content that's recycled over and over again. And I think the end consumer, the users, the consumers are just getting really tired of it. You know, how long is this going to be sustainable?
It's going to be sustainable till the customer wouldn't pay attention anymore. It will die by itself. If you don't innovate and if you repeat, one day you will be out of business. Business cannot go on repetition. You cannot repeat. Okay, I am in a museum, I will collect the past. But the future will never be a copy of the past. It will be slightly different. Not essentially different, but slightly different. The leaves on the trees every year come back. After the winter, in spring, they come back. But they don't come back exactly in the same shape and in the same height. Everything changes. So we will have to invent ourselves if we want to be successful. And that's the challenge of life. Every year you have to reinvent. I mean, I have to reinvent me every morning. Every morning I have a new challenge. And you must never forget the wordings of the Tibet. When you have reached the top of the mountain, then go on climbing. Because who are you to believe that you're at the top? You cannot be at the top. Tomorrow you must go on and on and on. And if one day you believe you're at the top, means you are already on the descent. So you can never reach the top. So every day you have to start again.
And do you see that happening a lot, not just within the watch industry and making its general context, in consumer marketing or the luxury industry in general, where people are just, they're not going that extra mile because they feel that they've already reached the top. They don't want to climb anymore. And they believe that the consumer, the end user, will continue, you know, taking the content that's already been recycled.
I'm sorry for them. They are wrong. They will suffer one day. And that is good for competition. Because if the others are bad, you might be good. You cannot, yes, when competition is weak, others will win and they will replace it. Nokia has more or less disappeared. But Nokia was the leader in the phones. Xerox was the leader in the copying machine, etc. You can name many. Yeah? The business has to go on. You must never think you are at the top, and you cannot live by repetition. You must live thanks to innovation. And to innovate, you need courage. The courage not to find the right innovation, the courage to be wrong, and to spend money. But at the end of the day, R&D, innovation is the future. In any field, everything is changing, everything, so except the museums. Even the museums. The Louvre came to Abu Dhabi. God damn. One of the most stable, conservative museums in the world moves to Abu Dhabi. That tells you where the world is going. The world has to innovate. You have to reinvent. Naturally, nothing can be constantly reinvented, but somehow you can reinterpret it.
Talking about reinvention and reinterpreting, when you look at someone like, for example, Kris Jenner, do you look at her as Kim Kardashian's mother, or momager as they call her?
Kardashian?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you think she's a marketing genius or a control?
She is the most marketing genius I have ever seen, because she understands what people want. I never thought people would want this.
So that's reinventing and innovating when there's a demand, or you create the demand in the market.
But if she wouldn't have invented it, nobody of us would invented it today. We would even not think about it. And the first time I saw that, I said to my kids, "Are you crazy or what?" And I had to admit that eventually they are not crazy, because they are like everybody. Then everybody would be crazy. But the Kardashians are a genius marketing family. All my respect, bravo. It doesn't mean that I take them as my heroes and I copy them. They are not my inspiration, but they are nice, beautiful.
Well, that's really taking the concept of controversy, a controversy where from a certain documentary, for a use of better words, to really create demands in the market that didn't exist before, like you said.
Of course. Steve Jobs created a phone that you don't need to phone. We all have a phone, but we don't need the phone to phone. We need the phone for our music, for our pictures, for our SMS, for our WhatsApp, for our emails, and eventually 5 or 10% to call. So he killed more or less Nokia, who was doing telephones to phone, and he said a telephone should not be made just to phone. A telephone must be much more. It's like the Swiss watch industry reinvented somehow that a watch is not necessary to read what time it is. I said very recently in London, I said, we should teach people not to look what time it is. We should teach people to look the watch. And to look at your watch is much more important than to look what time it is. And if your watch is just to look what time it is, then I blame you. I'm sorry that you bought the watch. The watch must be bought for what the watch is. And the watch is beauty, the watch is art, the watch is exclusivity, the watch is performance, the watch is quality, the watch is heritage, the watch is tradition, the watch is culture, the watch is a dream, the watch is an emotion. God damn, these are the values of a watch, not to see what time. What time it is, I don't care.
So why is it
and to know what time it is a drama, because either it's too late or it's too early.
Looking at all those values that you just mentioned, why is it that the Swiss watch industry is trying so hard to be the next headline breaker, and everyone's so obsessed with social media, which in my humble opinion, it's not really sustainable. It's just everyone's moving towards broadcast. You see Instagram with IGTV, that's broadcast. That's no longer social media. Yet everybody's attention and focus is on that 5 seconds that you have your audience to just flick through the screen and capture their attention.
Yes, because we have, what I just said, how many people knew what I just said? And how many brands or people are promoting this? Very few, which tells me we have to promote this type of attitude versus a watch. And if we can do that, our future is phenomenal. Let me say something. We have still 28 minutes left. So
we're still ahead of time.
I can say something that is a little bit longer. It will take 7 minutes, what I'm going to say. I used to say our industry doesn't exist. Why? Because the whole Swiss watch industry makes 21 billion exports per year. 21 billion. Everybody who is Swiss Half Swiss, little Swiss, full Swiss, whatever. $21 billion. The biggest luxury group in the world is called LVMH. They make 48 billion per year turnover. So they make in 6 months, one group makes in 6 months what an entire industry does. Number one. Number two, Apple makes 21 billion profit every quarter, which means the profit in 3 months of Apple is equal to the turnover of a year of the whole watch industry. Next, the crown, the king, you know who I named. The boss is called Jean-Fred Dufour. The king is, I say anything now, because I can be 10, 20%, 30% wrong, but not 50. He makes 1 million watches, to say something. Maybe it's 950, maybe it's 800, who knows. But I say 1 million just for the numbers. 1 million watches. If he has 100 countries where he sells, that's 10,000 watches per country. But in 1.5 billion Chinese, you sell 10,000 watches. In 250 million Americans, you sell 10,000 watches. In 180 million Japanese, 10,000 watches. You see how small we are, how much more we can do. So the future of the Swiss watch industry is colossal, especially now. Why? Because for the first time, we human beings, we all together here, we are surrounded by products, car, washing machine, phone, whatever, by products that all will die and become obsolete. All. We have never been faced with obsolescence in that mass, in that magnitude. And what will we want? The more we are surrounded by obsolescence, the more we are surrounded by products that are going to die, the more we know that we also going to die, we will have to find an escape. We will have to find something on which we can rely. And on what can we rely? On eternity. And what is eternal? Art. The watchmaking art is eternal. Big Ben is working after 158 years. It's working 24 hours a day. I take tonight a plane, A380 Airbus. It has arrived, but during 6 hours they will repair and put a little bit this and that. The watch, Big Ben, has worked and worked and worked and worked, never stopped. A mechanical watch is eternal. And a mechanical watch is part of the Swiss watchmaking art, and as it is art, it connects me to eternity. And you buy a watch, you get a part, a piece of eternity, which you can wear on your wrist. It connects you to God. The watch connects you to God. The watch connects you to perfection. The watch connects you to art. The watch connects you to tradition. The watch connects you to love. The watch connects you to excellency. The watch connects you to dreams. God damn, who else can do that? Not many products, just the watch. Because all the others, even your cars that I like, wow, great, so much, the new Ferrari, will one day be obsolete. We will not be able to repair it because all the electronics in the year 2150 will not be available anymore. So this connection to eternity, all the arguments I just mentioned in the 5 minutes I have spoken about it, is enormous. That is a value, that's an asset. If I would not be in the watch business, I would immediately invest in that business. It's a huge business. There will be huge future. But we need people who understand what I said. We need people who can transmit. We need artisans or masters, watchmaker masters that are today equal to Mr. Breguet. We need these guys. And we should you know, we should really emphasize on these people and help these people to grow. So if we do the job well, this industry will fly.
So what is it that they need to? Is it the mindset that's holding them back? Are they become?
No, there's no mindset back. We are en route. We are on the way to go there. You know, it's quite a revolution. If you would have said to somebody in 1950 that all his environment will become obsolete, people have started to speak about obsolescence of products only 10, 20 years ago. So we are en route. And to get people conscious, it needs usually a generation. You know, the conscious of ecology, I had it when I was a hippie. 1968 to 1971, I lived in a commune. And we were extremely conscious. We were eating only bio. When we were eating rice, we were not eating Uncle Ben's, because Uncle Ben's is a white rice, and all the qualities is gone. So we were taking the gray, you know. Same for bread. We're not eating white bread, because white bread has been chemically transformed. We are not eating white sugar, but brown sugar, etc. We were very conscious. But it was a little group of hippies that were conscious. And now this attitude has grown up, and now the new generation, they are extremely conscious. So it takes time before. And that is why I think we are en route. And the watchmaking route is a phenomenal, it's a great route. I would recommend to every young guy to enter this industry, which is a...
But how many more generations or tragedies is it going to take for the Swiss watch industry to wake up? Because eventually you're going to run out of masters, because, you know, they haven't really acted fast enough.
You cannot say that we have to wake up. We are the leader. We are number one, the Swiss. Not me, but the Swiss watch industry is the first high-quality watch industry. We are not the first for the connected watches. We are the first for the high-quality Swiss-made watches. So we are leader already. So you cannot say how long will it take. How much and when are we going to increase the communication of the values of our art that is in the watch? Communication to put ads with a top model is one thing, but to communicate the art, that's another thing. We have to communicate our art. What is a watch? What is inside a watch? And to give you the last example of the value of a watch, my father, before he died, he gave me a watch that is called Le Culte. Not Jaeger LeCoultre, because Jaeger LeCoultre is recent. It didn't exist in 1946. It was called Le Culte. And Le Culte was a movement maker, and they made extraordinary great watches. One day, they had a joint venture with Jaeger, and the name was changed into Jaeger LeCoultre. But it was Le Culte. And he gave me the watch, and he said, "My son, this is the watch your mother, my wife, gave me in 1947 when we got engaged." And she wrote on the back, "For love and eternity." And I looked at the watch, I took it, and I did like this. I said, "Oh man, it's working, Papa." She said, "Of course it's working. It has worked non-stop since 1947. And I said, what a wonderful sign of love, of eternity. You offer this to your lover, to your husband, to my wife, and 92 years later, the watch still works and still says every minute, I love you, I love you, I love you. What better can you find? And what are the other products that give you this? There are none. So you see, we are sitting, this industry and all these privileged people here, they have in their hands, on their wrists, a treasury.
So maybe more storytelling and less marketing. Because that's the thing, we've left behind the legacy and the storytelling. The true soul has been left behind because everybody wants to have the next biggest campaign.
That is the problem of the technocrats. The technocrats, you know, I teach in Harvard Business School, in Cambridge, in many universities, about 56 universities. The problem of technocracy, the technocrats, they lose instinct, they lose intuition, they lose pragmatism, because everything they're going to analyze is based on technocracy. And when it is based on technocracy, you have lost everything that is human, because technocracy is not very human. But your instinct, your eyes, your smell, your gut feeling, your pragmatism, that's the thing. Now, in marketing, it's the same. They make marketing like a technocrat. Ah, you take an ambassador, you do this and that. No, it was maybe valid 30, 40 years ago when it was new. But today, you have to give stories, you have to give an emotion, you have to give an experience. I was yesterday in New York. No, the day before yesterday in New York, and I went to see Material Goods. It's a store in Soho. And it's a new concept of store, not anymore so revolutionary, but it's still, yeah, it's quite different. Where you don't see the store, you have to go in a building, you have to go in an elevator that is made not for people, but for goods on the second floor. Then you must know, and then somebody comes, what do you want? I heard you are selling watches, and the guy opens, and then there's a salon, then they serve you drinks, and then there are Hermes bags, and then there are cigars, and then there are watches. I mean, and these guys, they have understood, and they told me, when the customer comes, he gets an experience. And the customer, he prefers sometimes the experience to the watch he buys. So, yeah.
The emotional connection.
We have the emotional connection, yes, the emotional connection. It's important. The product, you know, I always say, a watch, to say a great watch, let's say a Jourde, François-Paul Jourde, for instance, I don't know if he's here. Voilà. So a François-Paul Jourde watch has a soul. It is not a product, it's a soul. And who gives the soul? Fingers. The finger are transmitting the orders that come from the head. But the head has a culture, has a knowledge, has an accuracy, and has a passion. And so this passion from the head goes into the fingers. And then the fingers put it in the watch. And then you close the case. And the soul, where's the soul? It's inside. And it comes out. And it goes into your eyes. And from the eyes, it goes in the blood. And from the blood, it goes into the heart. And then you love the watch, and the watch brings you so much luck, but you don't really know why until I explain to you. It's the soul. That's the magic of love, and soul is love.
We have 14 minutes left, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take some questions now. Any questions? You guys are still observing what Mr. Bieber has been saying for the past. What time do you start your day?
My day, in the day, yes. That's a long story. Because it's a long day. One day, I asked for a subvention because we had employed 9 watchmakers and it was a big crisis. And we got, for each watchmaker we would take on, we would get 5,000 Swiss francs. So somebody said to me, are you crazy? Why don't you ask this to the state to give you the money? Put an inscription. And I wrote, and I got back an appointment with the president of Switzerland, the president. And my secretary said to me, don't forget tomorrow at 5 to go to the president. I said, no, I will not forget. I know why I go. I want these 45,000 Swiss francs. She said, yes, but I don't forget, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I said, what? She said, yes, I called his secretary. I said, have you done a mistake? Is it 17 or is it 05? And the secretary said, no, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. So I arrive at 5 o'clock in the morning. I have to go through many controls, but at the end, I open the door, and the president sits quite a distance, like this, and I close the door, and I walk. And the guy doesn't look at me, he's like that. And I say, I cannot say hello, because I will wake him up. So, and at a certain moment, he looked at me, and he said, "Hey, Beaver, come on, do you know why you are here?" And he said, not you, in French we have you and you. He said you like if I would be a little boy. I was 32 years old, blonde hairs, I looked a little bit young, yes, but not so young. So he said, "Do you know why you are here at 5?" I said, "Yes, Mr. President, I come for the subvention." "No, if you come for the subvention, you could have come later." I said, "Sit down." And then I was next to him, and he said, "I'm going to explain you now why you are here at 5. Imagine you work 300 days per year." "Yes, Mr. President." "Imagine you work 2 hours more than your competitors." "Yes." "That's how many hours?" 300 multiplied by 2, 600 hours, Mr. President. "Yes." "Imagine your competition and the business is working 40 hours a week." "Yes." "How many weeks is 600 hours?" 600 divided by 40, that's 15 weeks. "Yes, 15 weeks. That's how many months?" With a short February, it's 4 months. Okay. So if you work every day 2 hours more than your competitor, you will be ahead of 4 months to competition. This is why you are here at 5. Because for the subvention, I can do nothing for you. Because you have employed watchmaker to make watches. We pay when you transform watchmakers to make microelectronic or micromechanic. So you have a cost to educate them in this new job. But you took a watchmaker to make watches. You didn't have any money to spend to educate them. There was no learning. You just said, so now, but you got my lesson. From now on, every morning at 5, you are at the factory. And I said, if I can be 4 months ahead of my competition, I will work 6 hours more every day. Because 6 hours more is like 1 year ahead. So from that day on, I had my own rule, never go to the factory after 5. And I have been doing it even today.
Amazing. Any more questions?
I have the Hublot Sapphire that Ricardo Guadalupe, my friend and my CEO, offered me for my 70th birthday. And I have a Patek Philippe split, which I offered to me for my 70th birthday. 2 birthday presents.
After seeing, Jean-Claude, after seeing this fabulous Dubai Watch Week and what one family could put on for an entire industry, one piece of advice for Basel and Watches of Wonders, just one piece after being here with us this week.
My advice?
Yes.
To be here. My advice, I hope they are here. I can see Basel is here. They should come here.
Watches
and they should voila, sorry. And they should take get inspiration. My ultimate inspiration is we can also do Basel World in Dubai. At the Sedikis, which would be like Miami art, Basel art in Miami. So, but what I like here is the smiling eyes. What I like here is everything is relaxed. What I like here also is that there's no selling pressure, which means everybody is more relaxed. And I think more and more fairs will find more value in the eye contact with the people, in the handshaking, in the proximity, in sharing dinners, in sharing moments, in sharing a coffee. That is more important. It will get more important than selling watches. Because selling watches, we can sell 24 hours a day, more or less. And every big brand has a subsidiary. And every big brand has salespeople on the place. And every big brand visits customer all the time. So maybe we should have fairs where you can buy, but you don't need to buy. But the eye contact is, for me, and the hands, to shake hands, to give a kiss on a, you know, that's important. And that is my recommendation. Don't concentrate too much on selling, because you can sell the whole year round. And especially next year, because of the dates that were stupid, in my opinion, to put the Basel Fair and the Swiss and the Geneva Fair end of April. How can you show novelties after 4 months of the year? So a quarter of the year has gone, and you show the novelties beginning of May. That's quite late. So, wow. But I think that Basel and Geneva will find the right way for 2021. But Dubai is phenomenal. I really must say, what a surprise.
Any more questions?
Good afternoon, Mr. Beaver. My question is, what advice you give to us as young generation?
My advice to you as young
to
generation.
achieve success in our future career.
Okay, this is a large question. I would give the advice to be courageous, never to give up, don't be afraid to be wrong, because every mistake you will do will bring you closer to success, provided you don't repeat 2 times the same mistake. You cannot grow without mistakes. A baby cannot learn to walk. Impossible. No mama, no papa, no doctor can teach a child to walk. He can only be taught by the brain, and the brain registers every time a new angle of the equilibrium, and the brain registers the equilibrium each time he fails. And he will fail, I think, 373 times before the brain can give the right commands to the muscle to stay. So the mistake is necessary. You cannot grow without mistake. But you must correct the mistakes. You must quickly correct every mistake. But have the courage to be wrong. Then you become an entrepreneur. Don't have too many convictions. I would suggest that you have many doubts, because the doubt helps you to be right. And if you have only convictions, you are dangerous. When the pilot of my plane, one day I said, can you not stop reading this fucking checklist? We need to go. Because we were late, and I said, we need to fly, come on. He said, listen, Beaver, if one day I don't read this checklist, get out of the plane, because then you will be in danger. So the doubt is your friend. Have doubts. Cultivate your doubt and challenge your doubt. Never also refuse help. 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 You need help. And never be afraid of better people than you, because only better people than you can help. Somebody that's weaker than you cannot help you. So you need better people than you around yourself. That is about, and don't forget, all you need is love.
Hello. Hello, Mr. Beaver. I'm a great follower for you. I know it's since I started this whole hobby, you were there. And talking about reinvention today, are we, with all what you've done, are we gonna see a brand for you? You're talking about investments, you're talking about doing, your passion, but you never had a brand. And I've seen a discussion between you and some reporter, and your son was there. and that's what you wanted to do. Do you have a plan for that?
I hope I will never do a brand. I hope I will never do a brand. It's not my role. It's not my destiny. At 71 years old, you start your own brand. Haven't you had enough ego? Are you still so egoistic that you need to do something for you? Hey, Mr. Beaver, you should do for other people. You should now help. You should now give back. You should give advice. But stop doing it for you. What can you achieve more? You have done your job. Now your job is to give back. And my theory of life when I was a hippie, we said our life, professional life, must be made by 20. From 0 to 20, we are kids. From 20 to 40, we are learning. From 40 to 60, we are making. We are shaping. We are making. And from 60 to 80, we give back. So the first 20 years are the learning process. After 20 years, you know a little bit. Then you can start to shape, make it. And from 60 to 80, you help and you give back and you say, thank you, God, that you gave me the privilege of success and good health. So if I do my brand and I am not watchmaker, if my name would be François Paul Journe, as I said before, I would make a watch. But he exists and it's not me.
Hello. It was interesting to note that you highlighted FP Journe twice now. And I just wondered if...
Because he's there.
But I
he's
just wondered...
the only friend who heads a brand that I see from this distance.
Nevertheless, do you think that perhaps a small
And I like him.
independent watchmaker has the ability to distill more love and more art into their creations because they don't have to answer to other shareholders, are not part of a big luxury group? Does something of that get distilled when you become part of the two major luxury groups that are dominating the watch industry today?
I think private-run companies have more freedom because they have no analysts. The worst people are the analysts because the analysts, they don't necessarily understand the business, but they give recommendations to all the investors which are based on their own idea. And if you have analysts, that's a big, big problem. I mean, big problem. It gives you, it cuts a little bit your freedom. When you have no analyst, when it's your private money, you can do whatever you want. And now let's see big brands. Rolex is private. Patek is private. AP is private. Chopin is private. So we still have private big brands, and they do well. So to be run privately is not a disadvantage. It can be an advantage. To be run by a big group also has advantages because you have the synergy of the group, and etc. But you have one problem in the groups is not the group itself. It's the analyst. And the analysts are giving the advice to the investors, and then the share price varies. And if the share price varies, your bonuses, everything varies, and so everybody is always afraid about the monthly results.
Thank you very much for your time. You mentioned the art and the beauty and the eternal life of the mechanical watchmaking. You also made a point regarding the size, that it's almost insignificant compared to a lot of other industries. And so if I have a brand, how do I find, I personally find having something exclusive makes it better art, more desirable art. We all want unique pieces. So if you have a brand, how do you find an equilibrium between making it more significant in terms of size, but also not diluting it?
Not to dilute is very important, yes. The dilution is one of the mistakes I made in my life because I was young and I didn't realize that less is more. to know that less is more, you need a lot of education. Less is more is more or less it's at the end of your career that you realize. And Picasso said, it took me 60 years to be a child again. And in the end of a career of a painter, he becomes it's easy, it's not complicated. So the less is more is very important. And it's difficult for a brand in the beginning to say, I do less. Because in the beginning, you want to start, you want to make more turnover, and you think if you add in the collection 1 or 2 models, it will bring you more turnover, which is not 100% wrong, but it goes on the delusion. And the Swiss watch industry during a certain time was very much driven by sell-in. And when you bring every year, I say anything, 10 novelties, and you have good customers all around the world, they're going to buy each one the 10 novelties. And if you have 100 customers in the world, so the 1,000 watches will be sold because every customer will take the 10 novelties. And then next year you make only 5 novelties and you might only sell 5 to each one, which is 500. And then people will look and say, hey, last year we sold 1,000 pieces, this year only 500, how come? Because we did only 5 novelties and last year we did 10. Okay, so next year you make 15. And then it starts. So the delusion is a big, it's not easy to handle. And I have done the mistake personally with the delusion. But I have done it once. I will not repeat it.
We have a minute left for any last questions.
What a scandal and what a shame to God if I would regret one thing. I cannot, with all the privileges I got, my body, my health, my head, my heart, my family, my friends, my success, my doubts. God damn, God, when I'm dead, make me come back a second time, but 100% in the same way than the first time, with all my mistakes, with all my doubts. Now is 1 minute left.
Yes.
You were too early.
Any last words of wisdom? We have 1 minute left to spare, so you want to leave us with any last words of wisdom?
For me?
Yes?
I
That's
can
always
only repeat, it's not from me, it could have been from me. Help is what you need. And the Beatles have a song that is named Help, and love is all you need. The Beatles have a song, All You Need Is Love. So go and listen to the Beatles tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.